All right, so I am recording, folks. Thank you for being here for our first meeting of the Introduction to Networks course. Go ahead and let you know that at this point you're probably thinking you're going to go nuts and your head's going to explode, because this first course is always a challenge to get you started in. So please don't fret if that is how you feel, because quite honestly, it's how everybody feels on that first course. There's a huge amount of things that you need to learn to do, but luckily you've done most of them in terms of the systems you need to use. To begin with, obviously moodle.stanley.edu, which is this particular system here, and your course, which is your Introduction to Networks course, which I'm going to go into now. You had really just one assignment in here, and that was to do that, introduce yourself to the class. This class has 28 students in it, so I did not go in and respond to every single student. Is it way to the left on my screen? Right. Can everybody see it?
I can.
Okay. All right. Well, it is a little weird. It's left though. Okay, it is to the left. Okay. I've got a little problem. I've got a big screen. I've got this big Dell curved screen, and when I move it over there, it ends up with an even bigger mess. I'm gonna try to leave it like this right now and just see what we get, and then we'll go from there. But it's basically what we're looking at is, for this, go into Moodle maybe once every 2 weeks just to log in and go into the class to make sure that we're able to, quote, track attendance. And that's really all you're going to use this for. You also can, if you don't want to type in netacad.com, you can log in here and then hop over with this. You'll still have to log in at netacad.com, but you just wouldn't have to type it in. Personally, I just use netacad.com. Now, that is our second site, and this is where I want us to go, and I'm going to explain some things to you here. In netacad.com, on your Learn tab, you're going to see your class, which is this intro class, ITC Intro Sum 17. When you click on that class, this is where you're going to see the listing of all the items that are in the course. Now, right now, on the left hand, there's not much here. It just says Launch Course and Student Resources, obviously. From here, if you click Student Resources, just so you know, this is where you can get Packet Tracer. So Packet Tracer is down at the bottom down here, and that's probably off your screen, but it's down at the bottom where you can download and install Packet Tracer. And it's also where you can get some look at the course navigation overview and some other things. But pretty much it is just the Packet Tracer information for you. Predominantly where you're going to interact with this course is on the modules item. So when you click modules, you will see all the modules for this particular course. To begin with, you saw this pretest, okay, which you probably took, and then now you've been working on or completed chapter 1. Now, each chapter has a series of items in it, and that is, of course, launching the chapter, which allows you to read the chapter. Okay, so if I click Launch Chapter, it takes me back over to Launch Chapter, and then it actually pulls up the chapter, and it's down here, probably below you here where you can't see it. But there's the chapter, way big. Okay. Can you see my screen? Can you actually see the chapter?
I can.
Content, everybody? Okay. Well, and what you would just do to get back is return to class on the bottom. And so that is where you read. So when you go into the modules, if you launch the chapter itself, that will let you go read the materials. The materials in the chapter, I do not require you to have a book. For my student classes, what I do is I actually have them buy the CCNA study guide book, so that they have a study guide book that is different in terms of content than what's inside, excuse me, the NetAcad class. And I do that to make sure that they see it from 2 different angles. So that's a little tip to give you is, don't necessarily require the Cisco Press books that map directly to the curriculum, but require the CCNA study guide book that helps.
So you do have that as required text?
I do require that as a text, yes, the CCNA study guide. So I require the ICND 1 study guide for the first 2 courses. So the book for the first 2 courses are that first study guide. So for Introduction and Routing and Switching Essentials, the ICND 1 study guide, and then for ICND 2, which is the Scaling and Connecting class, I require that book. So a lot better than, again, just rehashing the same material. You will also see here that we have packet tracers and labs. Now, packet tracers obviously are packet tracers that you complete with a packet tracer program. If you click on the link, and you see what's got a little link on it, if you click on that link, it actually takes you to that packet tracer in the curriculum itself. All right? So you don't have to try to find that packet tracer in the curriculum. You can just click right on the link, and it will take you there. And then I have the upload item. Now, again, I've asked when you upload that you upload your .pka file and also a screenshot showing your completion grade. Many of you have already found that there are several packet tracers, especially in this first chapter, that don't really have a completion grade. They just have a congratulations, you have completed. I call those my look and see packet tracers. So if you ever have an example where you go to do a check results and it doesn't give you a grade, that's okay. Just upload a quick snip or screen capture of what you have, and that'll work fine. Again, some of those are just look and see. You've also, many of you have done a packet tracer already that gave you an actual grade, and it said, you know, for instance, if you configured the host name correctly, it gave you X amount of points. So you have the ability to launch your packet tracers and go to them and actually open them with packet tracer and upload them. Same thing with your labs. The labs themselves, the first couple here in the course were research labs. These were just, and if you click here, it will take you to the Word document, all right? And then you can open that Word document and you can actually go in and fill in your information in blue text for me. Okay, so you can just go enable editing, and then you can fill in your information. You know, just go, again, if you would, change to blue, and that way it says this is a test. And then when you upload it, that way it's a little easier for me to see where you've answered items in between these. And if you just want to delete out, you know, the lines and then put your answers in blue, I'm fine with that. You know, list of these two, well, I use WebEx and I use Skype, you know, so you've got those. So, but then you can save it with your name and the lab number, and then just like the packet tracers, you can upload it directly into, I got to preview that. So you can upload it directly into the module upload item for that particular lab. So right here we see an upload for that lab. You then have a chapter quiz and a chapter exam, and the exams are all on, okay? The chapter exams, I've given you the opportunity to take them up to 10 times without having to ask me. Yeah, George, you're saying some of these are PDFs. If it's a PDF and you can't change the color, don't worry about it. That's fine. If it's a PDF and you cannot change it, no worries at all. Just type it in. One of the things I will tell you about the PDFs is save the PDF to your machine first, then close it, then open it, fill it in, and then save it. If you just click and download it, put in your answers, and then save it, it doesn't save your answers. I get many blank PDFs because of that. People send them to me, and that happens quite often. So just be careful with that. But again, the chapter exams you can take up to 10 times. We're using them for you to learn knowledge, not necessarily as a true assessment item. Likewise, again, when we look down here, we look at chapter 2. Let me do that and expand chapter 2. Obviously, there are a ton of packet tracers, okay? If you don't do every packet tracer, I'm not going to fail you. It's like I said, if you do 1 or 2 packet tracers, that's fine. I would like for you to do the labs that are in these modules. So, for instance, I'm not asking you to do a lab that's not in this module. So you've got, some of you have been looking at using the Terraterm lab and doing that in your local lab, that's fine. But the labs I want you to do are listed here. And so, see, the first lab that you needed to do was building a simple network. These labs, if they're not written labs, like the labs that were in Chapter 1, these labs are found in NetLabs, okay? And I've got to do something here to get to this thing, okay? There, got to it. So when I go to NetLabs, if I go to, and let me do something real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just do a quick schedule. I can go to Scheduler, and I can reserve study time for an individual user, and I'm going to go into your intro class, which is ITC Intro SP17, and I'm going to use my student account. Oops, that was Spring 17. I need to use a different class, wrong class. It's ITC Summer 17 Intro, and I'm actually going to grab you, Mark, if you don't mind, and pick on you. Here are all the different labs that are available, okay? So lab 233, building a simple network, I click here, and then I can just choose a time. And you may not be able to see this in your list, but I'm going to pick pod 4. You have a maximum of 4 hours. Remember, the first 10 minutes, it usually takes it that long to boot. So it takes about 10 minutes for it to boot. And the last 10 minutes of any reservation are used to set to do those. Okay, so I only do 1 or 2 labs as well, so that's okay, Mary. If you only do 1 or 2 labs, that's fine. But I do want you to focus more on the hands-on labs. As you'll see from our list, when we look at our list here of labs that are available for this course, there are, I'm just gonna grab somebody. There are, fewer labs available than there are packet tracers. So, there's like Chapter 2's only got 2 labs, Chapter 3's only got 1, and there are none for Chapter 4. So it's not quite as much work inside of with these, but it's important that you're able to do the hands-on labs. Okay. The documents on the NetLab. What I would do, that's a question from George. That is a very good question. I would actually use the document from NetLabs, but you can't fill those in, so you may want to have open the Word document and then just open the PDF that is from the from NetLab, so you can actually use it when you're doing the lab, because some of them are slightly modified to use inside of NetLabs. Okay, and notice it's still starting the equipment pod. This is because it's actually booting real gear. It's not booting simulation. It's also booting, in this particular case, it's going to boot 2 switches and two virtual machines. So I click on S1. Now, by the way, if you get an item that asks you to open or keep the JNLP file, you need to click Keep and then open it. And this is a pain. It really is. And there's no easy, simple solution for this until we get a way to do it. But you'll notice that right now the switch is booting and it's going through its boot process, and NetLabs is booting it. And then also I have the ability, if I click on the PC, again I have to click on Keep, and I have to open up the viewer, and you'll actually see a real PC. It's a virtualized PC, but it's still a real PC. So that has all the functionality of a typical Windows 7 PC. So very neat. You don't need gear locally to do the labs. If you do have gear locally and you want to do a couple on your own gear, I would suggest that, especially in your classroom as you're going to be teaching with that gear. Question from Joseph said, Eddie said, do we have to do all the labs? I would like for you to do all the labs if you can. Do just 1 or 2 of the packet tracers, but do all the labs. I like to see the hands-on labs completed. And Eddie says, what about the quizzes? The quizzes are optional. You do not have to take those. They're short little 10-question quizzes, but you don't have to take those. The chapter exams, though, you do have to take. Those are not optional. Okay? So the quizzes are optional. You can blow through them pretty quickly, though. So here's the PC that's part of this lab. Again, like you said, if you do show labs content, it will show you the content here. And I got to try that. There. Show lab content. You see, and this one has not been modified much, but it goes through and walks you through putting IP address on the host, all the different things you need to do, setting basic items on the switch. So one of the nice things about the new curriculum is it literally has you in the very first lab doing a lab. Okay, question was, where do we upload the NetLabs document? When you, as far as the hands-on, what you need to submit is the answers to the questions in the lab. So again, you've got a Word document. Okay, here's a PDF that you can't fill out because this is not a form fillable PDF. So this is the one there. But inside of our course, in the course, if you click on the lab, it'll take you to the Word document. And if you open that Word document, you can fill in, you have to save it to your local machine, but you can fill in the answer. And let's see if I can find that answer down here. There's some at the very bottom of this one. May not even have anything on it except some very, very end. Yeah, there's a little bit of status, record the status and reflection. Okay. And then, yeah, I didn't have anywhere for 0001 because that one was just a practice, just to get you going. If it's not listed in the modules, it's not a lab you have to do. So in other words, I didn't list 00, so I really didn't plan for you to do 0001. But it's fine if you did. But otherwise, if it is listed, there's always an upload right below it that you can upload the Word document that you put your answers into. Okay? Does that make sense? Who asked the question about where you put the labs? Okay. So Joseph, that's good. You're good with that? Okay. The other thing I want you to realize is, let me get back to my, in NetLab. What I want you to realize from this NetLab is the cool thing is I can actually go in and see, and Mark, I'm going to pick on you again because I actually did a lab with you earlier today as an example. Roster. So you've done a lab here, you did this building simple networks. I can actually click here, and the neat thing is I can actually see everything that you type. Now obviously there's nothing on R1 because there's no R1 in this lab. But on switch 1, switch 2, I should be able to see it because I used it to show your lab earlier today. That nothing's happening. Okay? But typically I can see every single command that you've typed in. Let's see if I can find one. George, I'm going to borrow you. Hate to call you out here, but we'll do. Go right here and see. I can see every single command that you type on S1.
I have a question for you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Is there any reason then to get the lab manuals from the written lab manuals as far as doing assignments? It would be just, I assume, basically students just would be able to get something out of NetAcad and they really don't need the lab manuals?
There's absolutely, as long as you can have them, like for instance, I mean, all the labs are in the curriculum. So unless you just want them to have a lab manual for some reason, there's no need.
Okay.
You know, you can have them download just a Word document and fill out the Word documents and upload them like I do here. Or, you know, some people just want a Word, you know, a lab manual for whatever reason. I don't require a lab manual simply because it's an additional cost for the students, and I try to keep the classes as cheap as possible for the students. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, folks, that's kind of what we've got here. We've got NetAcad where you do your reading, NetAcad where you can find your packet tracer assignments and the uploads for those assignments, NetAcad where you get the documents for your labs that are then completed in NetLabs, okay, and then the items where you can upload those. And then you also have your chapter exams, which you can do for each chapter. So really, that's the basic format of the course. That and the fact, oh, you can definitely, George, you can take the labs up to 10 times. Eddie, you're saying the quizzes are 30%. No, the quizzes are not 30%. If you look at the syllabus, it's the chapter exams. Okay, the chapter exams are 30%, not the quizzes. Yeah, they're worth 30 points, but they're worth 30 points only in the, and I can show you how I can set this, by the way, and something you'll learn to do yourself. Under assignments, I set the packet tracers as 20% of your grade, the labs is 20, chapter exams is 30, the skills exam, which you'll take at the end, that's your hands-on, is 10 points, and the final exam is 20 points. Pre-test had no effect at all. Yeah, and you can retake them up to 10 times, and if you really need to take them more than that, let me know. But 10 is usually pretty good. I actually set up some other items because there's some there's some PT practice skills exams, and I actually gave you 40 tries on it. So. All the chapter exams should be on for you. So each one of those chapter exams should not. How long does it take for NetLab to be available? It takes about 10 minutes for the labs to boot. And then again at the end, 10 minutes will be used to reset the lab to a default setting, take away all your configs and do everything. Do we do the challenges? Yes. You're talking about the skill challenges. The only one there is this PT practice skills challenge. Yes, I've got to do by August 7th. So you do have that to do. Basically, folks, if it is pretty much listed here, and I've got a date assigned to it in the modules, then it's due. Okay. And again, if you don't do it all, that's fine. In the documents, there are challenges. Oh, you're talking about no, George. You're talking about in the chapters themselves. You're talking about these, like when I launched the chapter. The very first thing in each one is a challenge. This like challenge activity or class activity, is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're referencing, George? If so, no, you do not do these. Your main items are the packet tracers, the labs, and the chapter exams. Okay, Eddie, the packet tracers are completed in Packet Tracer. So you need to download Packet Tracer, which is a program that is, if you click on Student Resources on the very front page of the class, you will see Packet Tracer and you'll see download and install the latest version. When you click on the Packet Tracer activities, I'm going to start on chapter 2 here. You will be taken over to an area and you actually see a PKA file. And when you click on it, it will take you and it will open the PKA file in Packet Tracer. Now my Packet Tracer is very slow because I'm running a beta version that's being tested, but okay. So this is Packet Tracer. All right, so it's a little simulation engine. And inside of here, when you open a Packet Tracer, inside is your directions on what you need to do. So for instance, in this one, you need to click the connections icon, and you need to establish a console connection from the RS-232 to the console port. And it actually tells you this. It walks you through it. And you go to desktop, you can go to terminal 9600 AM1, click OK. And now I'm actually connected to the switch itself. And then, and literally it walks you through it. So it walks through here and says, so I've established it. So now you're going to use the help function. So you do a question mark. And well, question mark if I type it. And then there you'll see. And so the directions for the packet tracers are part of the packet tracer when you open it. And so it walks you through. And this particular one, you're looking at how to use help, how to do explore privileged exec mode. So like in help, if you type a T question mark, it only shows you the commands that start with T that are available in Packet Tracer. Now be aware, Packet Tracer is a simulation, so it doesn't have every single command in the iOS. If I do a question mark, it shows me all the commands. It also can show me moving into global config, or excuse me, privileged exec mode. And if I do a question mark there, you'll see there are many more commands than there were, not many more than this, but there were more commands than there were before. And all of that is reinforcing the concepts that are in Chapter 2 as you read through Chapter 2, and it talks to you about what global configuration mode is. I'm doing config T. So, you know, I'm going through here, and you'll notice that it walks me all the way through here. I can do a set clock and all this. And if I click check results, in this case, you'll see it just says, congratulations, you've completed the activity. There's no actual grading in here other than just connecting the console cable. That was the only item they were actually grading. And then, if I was done with this lab, and say I'm finished, I would go File, Save As, and I would save it as my name. I'm just going to put KFC. And then I would take this file that I just completed, and I'd go to my modules, I'd go down to my packet tracer and I would upload that packet tracer there. Now I can't upload because I'm not a student, but I would just go in and upload. Let me see if I can change the student mode. I can't do it right now. Student view. But that's where you do it. You actually just click in there and you can upload the packet tracer that you saved after you completed it. Okay, let me check this chat here. They're like exercises in the document. George, I'm not following you. If you can email me an example, I'll look at it and tell you. Pretty much, like I said, the big things are the packet tracers, the labs, and the exams. Those are the big ones. How many packet tracers you need to complete? I would say at least 1 to 2 per chapter. Many of the packet tracers are packet tracer examples of what you do in the actual hands-on lab. For your students, I would suggest trying to get them to do as many of the packet tracers as they can. Thanks, George. But try to get them to do as many packet tracers as you can. Now, there are a bunch, obviously, so I don't expect you to get all these done. There's simply no way in summer with you teaching classes and other things. But be aware they're there, and I put them in there because I want you to see what your students would come up against and the level and the amount of work that these courses actually are. These are not courses that are easy for students to get through by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, Joseph, the question was, should we add a screenshot for the completion moving forward? Yes, moving forward where possible, please do that. You can just take a snip of it and show with the snipping tool that you've completed it. So yeah, for instance, the same thing there when, let me see if I can pull it back up. I'm opening the packet tracer now, I'll show you. So basically here, this is the packet tracer. Oh, this is a different one that I did, but I've only completed 4%. So when I do check results, you see it gives me the results. You can actually go to this assessment items, and then you can just take your snipping tool and just do a quick snip, and then save that and upload it. And you can just save it directly as a JPEG and just upload that file along with your PKA file. That way I don't have to open every single PKA file to get your grade. And you will learn that is a pain if your students don't do that. You really want them to put that snip in there otherwise. Eddie, does that make sense of the screenshot that I was wanting you to get? Okay. Yeah, just check results and do a quick screenshot so I can see. It also helps me because if I see that you didn't get 100%, I can open, and you also upload that PKA file, I can open up the PKA file and go through in more depth your packet tracer assignment and see what you missed and why it missed it. Be aware, yes, students can upload more than one file because when I made the assignments, I allowed multiple files. I actually create, these assignments are not automatically in a class. I actually build these assignments. So for instance, on this assignment right here, if you go to edit, you will see that under the online file uploads, okay, I didn't restrict file types and I didn't restrict it to a single file. So basically I'm saying you can upload multiple files if you want to. So that's the neat thing. You can set these up. And I built this particular course framework I built myself. Some of this stuff already will be there when you build a class, but you will then need to decide, what you want to do. And you may go through in your classes and decide, well, we're not going to do these 3 packet tracers or whatever. And that's fine. You don't have to put them all in there. But, over an 8-week course, it's usually, and the students are normally not also working a full-time job, teaching like all of you are, it's a little bit easier to get them to complete all of the packet tracers. This is not a course that your students will do inside the classroom only. Yeah, let's try to do all labs. Let's do all the labs and 1 or 2 packet tracers. Yep. Eddie's saying all labs. Yep. Charter exams, correct. So, and 1 to 2 packet tracers, correct. That's what I'm looking for. Sure is. So it's a good amount of work, but the good news is this, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you this in the recording so you'll know, but the class ends, I believe it's August 9th. I believe that's our actual end date, is 8/9. We will not be starting the next course, Routing and Switching Essentials, until the first week of September at the earliest. So we've got about a 3-week leeway to where we can fudge a little bit, to where I don't have to turn off Netacad. Now, I'll have to turn off your access to Moodle. I'll have to turn off that and that only. You will still have access to NetLabs, and you will still have access to Netacad. So I know for a fact that most of you are not going to do any work the week of the 4th. You might, I don't know, okay? That might be the only week you have time to do any work. But many of you will be celebrating the 4th, and I don't blame you at all. I'll be quite honest with you, next week, again, next week I'm at Skills USA all week, so I'm not going to be able to have a class meeting with you next week. And then the week after that, I'm in at Cisco Live, which is the big Cisco event in Las Vegas. And I will not be able to have a weekly meeting with you then. So really my next meeting with you will have to be the 1st of July. I will email, I'm available via email, and so I am definitely available. But I probably won't be able to get together with the class. Now, I might be able to next week, so I'll let you know by email if I am able to actually meet next week. It all depends on how the contest setup goes. Some years, everything's awesome and we're done by Tuesday as far as the setup. Some years, everything breaks and we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off. So, question from David was, if we have time, can we work ahead? Most definitely. There is no limit on how quickly you can finish. Be aware that I may not get all your stuff graded. You know, if you finish everything in the next 3 weeks, I may not have time to grade everything for you, but as soon as I can get to it, I will grade it, and you can jump ahead. So that's not a problem. There's no limit on that. Otherwise, again, I think the big thing, especially with these first few chapters, is just to be reading and get through them. Are there any questions on Chapter 1 content? We've got about 15 minutes that we have here. Any questions on Chapter 1 content, the actual content of the chapter? I think most of you are networking folks. You've been doing networking. Okay, Joseph, you got a feedback on exams? Let me have it. So the exams can be fairly hard. Joseph, you should be able to see the exams now. If you cannot, that's a problem. Let me pull something over here. Let me pull something out of the way here, and I'll check on it. You can, Joseph, you can see the class, correct? No problem seeing the class itself. You just don't see the exam. Okay. What happens, and this is a warning to all of you, and some of you were saying, when's the exams going to be available? I can't see the exams. What? When you, Eddie, yes, it is a lot of reading. When you activate exams for the class, the exams only activate for students who are already in the course. So if for some reason you had not redeemed your seat token, or you had not been put into the class for some reason or whatever, and I activated the exams, then you don't have the exam. So Joseph, I'm looking right now to see where you're at. Joseph, all right, I bet you money that you were not in the class when I activated the exam. So I'm gonna I'll reactivate the exams for you, and then they will be available, okay? And of course, as I'm saying that, it's trying to give me trouble, but we'll make it work. You mentioned the ICNA book. I hate to ask, but there's something we're supposed to be reading, or is that included in the module? It is included in the modules. That's just an additional thing that I usually have my students buy, and it is available. So. Okay, Joseph, go see if you can see the exams now, because you should see them now. Okay, great question. Bill asked, Reva asked, Upon completion, when you pass the final exam, will you earn the CCNA? No. This course, there are 4 courses in our sequence. There's Introduction to Networks, Routing and Switching Essentials, Scaling Networks, and Connecting Networks. The first 2 courses, and so when you take Introduction to Networks with us and Routing and Switching Essentials, at the end of Routing and Switching Essentials, if you make a 75 or higher on the final for that course, you will get a voucher for 70% off of your CCNA exam. You then go take your CCNA at a VIEW testing center, and so that's something that's done through a testing center, not through us. We don't have the ability, we don't give you your CCNA cert. You have to pass that through the actual corporate training or corporate certification group. The second 2 courses, Scaling and Connecting Networks, when you finish those and make a 75 or higher on the final for Connecting, you get a discount voucher for the second part, or ICND 2. So there's 2 ways you can get a CCNA. You can take 1 exam, or you can take 2 exams, a 2-part exam. It costs the same thing either way, but I strongly suggest doing the 2-part exam because it's just a little bit easier to do. Question for the labs: we do not need to upload a screenshot, just the documents. That is correct. Isfan, that is correct. Just upload the documents with the answers is all you need to do there. Then the syllabus. Are you talking about the, is it in the syllabus? You're talking about the book, Bill? Oh, the ISBN. Let me check. That should be, I think I did put it in there. Pretty sure I did. Oh, it'd be over my Moodle class. Hold on, sorry. Oh, it was opening the Word document, and I was sitting there going, what? You know what? I did not put it in here because I didn't require it in this course because it's my Con Ed course. Let me go to the Cisco Press site. Here's the easiest way to get it. That's the 201.25. Is that it? Let me make sure that's right. Yep, this is the one that has both. Make sure that's the most recent version. Yep, July 26, 2016. So if you go and look, and this is probably a good time to kind of show this too. Get this thing to go away here. On cisco.com, under training and events, you can see their certifications. So when you go to training certifications, here's kind of the model or the way you can go. You get CCNA, and CCNA, the exam is 100-105, okay? That's the CCNA exam, and then the next exam for the CCNA is 200-105. So there's ICND 1, ICND 2. The books, this is a cert guide library, 200-125, which should have both books in it, okay? So this is the both books. But I would do, let me actually look, see if I've got just the one. That way you can do just the one. That's a brand new book there. CCNA, there it is. Here's the one, that's a simulator, you don't want the simulator. The official cert guide right here, 100-105, which is this book, and then 200-105, which you'll notice it's cheaper to buy the box set, which has both books. So this one should have both books. And you can probably get them even cheaper if you go Amazon or somewhere like that. Okay, so again, that's your option. You can go either way. I'm gonna post this into the chat so that you have it. There's the link, so you can. Also, don't forget, if you are an instructor, if you're an instructor, contact your Pearson rep and get them to send you these for free, because they should be able to send you copies of these. Okay, Chapter 3 of wire shot document is going to be confusing for some. Yeah, I agree with the wire chart. Some of it you can't do inside of NetLab. That one is a little bit confusing just because of the fact that you're not able to get out to the internet with wire chart. Another question: how long does a typical student complete all these activities? My students do it in 8-week blocks. Now we meet 4 days a week for 2.5 hours a day. So that is typically how long my courses last. And I do intro the first 8 weeks, and I do the routing switch and central the second 8 weeks, and then scaling and then connecting in the spring. And Sheila, yes, you can take the chapter exams up to 10 times. That is correct. All right. Any questions about anything I've covered today? Billy, you, hold on a minute. Joseph? Yeah, Joseph, you're activated. All you have to do is go click on the, okay, quick, do I have to score 100? You don't have to score 100. You just, whatever you're happy with. I mean, I'd like to see you score above a 75 or 80. But, you know, if you score over an 80, I'm fine with that. If you want to go back and if, you know, I always have those instructors who are perfectionists that cannot do anything less than 100. And if you want to do that, that's fine, but you don't have to do that for me. Okay, other questions? Okay, you said you had no real questions. I honestly don't think we're going to have many questions until we get into, I see feedback, but summarize. Oh, are you talking about wanting to see feedback, Joseph? Is that what you're talking about? So you can take the exam, you just want to see your actual feedback.
All right. Yep, have a good one.
Is that correct, Joseph? Okay, I got you. Let me make sure I did. You should be able to click on it in the grade book and see your feedback. Let me see this. Because I allowed you to see the let me go back and look at my assessment profile. If it's not, I'll change the profile, but I'm pretty sure that you should be able to see it by clicking on the, yeah, you should be able to see everything. You should be able to see your item feedback. If you're in the grade book and you click on your grade, after deadline, can only see details. Okay, Joseph, we'll take that offline and figure out what's going on. But you should be able to see your feedback, okay? All right, folks, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, so let me make sure my recording stopped. Let me close some of this here because I got so much open. The recording is stopped, so do we have any questions for me about anything related to the course? Again, I apologize that I am gone next week. I will do everything I can to have a meeting if we can. Sheila says you can't see the chapter exams. If you click on the exam in the module listing, you should be able to do it. Ispen, yes, this class will definitely be open in 3 or 4 weeks. I know some of you from Kaiser are going to actually complete IT Essentials first and then come back in here. That's no problem whatsoever. I understand that's what's going on. That's not an issue. I'm glad you could come tonight and kind of get things. Everything that you're hearing from me applies to Brian's class, so it will make life easier for you to understand. The only thing that's a little different there is with IT Essentials, we don't have as many NetLabs, or the NetLabs are not used really because you use your own gear. So, yes, Sheila, you can click on your grade in the grade book, and it should show you what you missed. So, It doesn't. Okay, I'll explore that and see what I can find out. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Very impressive to have this bigger group tonight, and I really appreciate you being here. If there's anything I can do, please make sure that you send me an email, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And we'll go from there. Thank you very much. Have a great night.